This is Paul McGann, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 479 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. And warning, this week's episode may or may not induce cardiovascular irregularities. Listener warned.
See your doctor if you
Yes.
Yeah.
Please contact your physician. In the case of an emergency, please dial 911. In the
Or
U.S.
if you're on a certain starship, what is the nature of your medical emergency?
Exactly. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like Eric with a virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, welcome back, Chrissy.
It has been a while.
Yeah. Chrissy's back and Brittany's sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, over the last month, I had surgery, and most of the time, I had intended to jump on the podcast at least a few times, but Monday night just kind of always ended up being, and I sleep.
Yeah.
Which is so tiring.
Which makes sense. Understandable.
Surgery will do that.
Everything went well, though.
Yay. Good.
I'm still, I'd say I'm like 80% recovered, but I'm good enough to like go to work and do stuff like that. So,
Well, that's good.
Yep. So,
Yay! Yes. For those that may have noticed, yes, we did not have a show last week because Brittany was sick. I was in pain.
And to
Chrissy's
tell you the
been
truth,
out.
I was a little bit in pain too.
Yeah.
As soon after you had mentioned about your pain,
Yeah.
my pain of one of the same of those varieties decided, oh, we're going to have sympathy
my
pain, Rachel. I was
my
like,
hips.
bang. Oh.
My hips were just like, no, stop sitting in office chairs immediately. And I was like,
Mine
okay.
Was lower back. Mine was lower back.
Sometimes it goes into my lower back, but for whatever reason, my hips were just absolutely screaming at me. So we had to take a little bit of a sabbatical, but if you didn't notice, and we'll remind you at the end as well, that there's some new content up on our YouTube channel. So
nice.
That's not a podcast episode. So
check that out. It's some fun things.
Yes. Very delayed convention footage.
Awesome.
I'm working on it slowly but surely.
Okay.
We have one Adobe license that I have to share with my husband and my mother-in-law. So, it's a matter of anybody using the Adobe license. No, okay, good. I'm going to use it for like the next 6 hours. Okay.
Little group chat. I'm using the Adobe. Stay off.
Yeah, exactly.
What happened?
Yeah. Oh my. So, surprisingly enough, though, not a ton of news. Apparently, there was it wasn't like a full-on like D23 Expo, but I guess in Brazil, D23 had like some sort of like mini event or something.
There was a YouTube video I was watching that was talking about it, and it was like, it was just a little mini D23, and they had it in Brazil for reasons.
Yeah. Hey, that don't leave out the international Disney fans. Especially Florida, especially the theme parks in Florida get a lot of Brazilian tourists. Actually,
that was the video that I've been watching mentioned that a lot of people from Brazil come to Disney World, and you think about it geographically, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's not that far. I have a plane ride from Brazil to Central Florida, so. But because of that, we got some stuff from Marvel. So we got a nice little teaser trailer of stuff that we can write down in pencil, of course.
Yes, in pencil, absolutely.
Yes,
Yes.
for coming soon to Disney
Marvel's been
Plus.
better, but others
So,
like
of course, by this point, Deadpool versus Wolverine is now on Disney Plus, and people have been loving rewatching it or watching it for the first time. So that's not in pencil. But coming up in pencil, we've got What If Season 3, which today actually we got a trailer just for that. So
Oh, nice.
yeah. So and since it's in the trailer, it's not. I guess it's not a spoiler unless you don't watch the trailer. But getting the X-Men in What If Season 3,
there you go.
or at least we're getting a. But I'm sure there'll probably be others. But right now they're just showing us one. Certain weather controller
Mm-hmm.
with white hair.
Yep.
So yeah, I like how they left that for like the very end of the trailer. Of course,
the oncoming I'm not finishing. But
yes, yeah,
a certain title for a certain 10th regeneration of a certain doctor.
yeah, yep. So that looks awesome. So that is supposed to drop, or the season's supposed to start December 22nd. So what if you've got the holidays off? I guess you can get your What If on, or if rewatch seasons 1 and 2 to prepare for season 3. And then January 29th, because we can already look ahead to 2025 because it's in like 6 weeks. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is another animated series, which looks pretty cool. The animation designs vary across the Spider-Verse esque. So it's very comic book looking, but in its own way. Daredevil Born Again, set for March 4th. Once again, Matt Murdock. What kind of lawyer are you? A very good one. Yes, he is. We see Matt Kingpin, obviously. We see John Berthal back as the Punisher. No shots of Froggy yet. But, yeah, I guess they got to keep us hanging for some one or two things.
They can't like show off all the surprises just yet.
Yeah, I mean, they can't give us all the avocados at once.
Exactly.
And then Ironheart, June 24th. So, coming off of her appearance in Wakanda Forever, we're going to return to Riri Williams, doing what she does best, making her own version of Iron Man armor. And then Eyes of Wakanda, which is going to be another animated series, is set to release August 6th. So that's cool. And then in October, with no specific date yet, but obviously coinciding with the Halloween season, Marvel Zombies, spinning off of What If. So we're going to get a whole zombie series. That's exciting. And then in December, Wonder Man, which is a bit obscure, but I kind of like it. But we see we get introduced to a new hero, and also after his adventures in Shang-Chi, a certain actor who thinks he's an actor apparently is still trying to make his way into show business. Oh, I love this. I love that this was like, as much as people have complained about Iron Man 2. um and everything with the Mandarin and how people hated that, but um you know kudos to them figuring out how to bring Sir Ben Kingsley back every now and
Mm-hmm.
then.
Yes.
'Cause he's so funny.
He is
So good.
great.
He is
That
hilarious.
was what made me so excited to see the Mandarin in Iron Man 3 in the first place, because like
Yeah, 3,
Ben
not 2.
Kingsley, this is gonna be awesome. And it was
Yeah,
like, oh.
yeah. It
Yeah.
was a bait and switch.
It was a bait and
Uh,
switch, which I don't know how much I appreciated that, but whatever.
well, considering they found a way to keep him coming back, you know what? I'm kind of here for
Yeah,
it. Because if he had actually been the Mandarin, he would have been defeated, and then we would never got him
that's
back.
true. That is true.
So yeah,
And the
I'm
other
here
guy
for it.
got stretched out and turned into that creepy little robot dude.
Exactly. So, and he was truly the bad guy anyway. So yeah, that's exciting. So good stuff a
Mm-hmm.
coming. Like I said, mark your calendars in pencil. Uh
Yes.
so there is that. And then really book club updates. That's there
Yes.
since we didn't
So,
have an episode last week to start off the new month.
yep. This month's book choice is Charlotte Pollard, Volume 1. And then our December book choices. Yes, there are going to be some repeats, but I thought this year we're going to do an all Christmas theme. Because other years, I think we've been maybe only had like one title or that was Christmasly themed or none for the month of December. So our choices for our Christmas themed December are The Blood on Santa's Claw, which is a big finish, The Christmas Invasion, The 10 Days of Christmas, which is all dealing with the 10th Doctor, and then The 12 Doctors of Christmas, which is a compilation of, I think, the first 12 Doctors. So that be the votes.
Yep. Decide what kind of Doctor Who Christmas you want to have.
Exactly. So, Big Finish or publishing company, if you're listening, we wouldn't mind more Christmassy themed stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Please
Yeah.
and thank you.
I mean, I've already reviewed The Chimes of Midnight, which is the most
Right.
Christmas thing they have.
Right. Yeah. So it's like I was thinking about tossing that one on, but it's like, I mean, and I know we've already done the Blood on Santa's Claw, but it is what it is.
Yep.
It's okay.
Yep.
We can do one or two repeats here and there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, moving on to feedback. So, I've got some feedback from Shalane, of course. She says, fun fact, here in Utah, we have a town called Taylorsville, but ironically, Taylor Swift isn't particularly fond of Utah. I don't know that she's not necessarily particularly fond of Utah. It's just the
We
way
don't
that the
really
tour dates. And do you guys really have a venue that would be appropriate for
have
her?
that, because I think the biggest one we have in the state, it'd either be Rice-Eccles Stadium at the University of Utah or the stadium down in Provo at BYU.
Yeah.
I don't know which one's bigger, but one of those two would be the biggest, and I don't think that either one of those could handle her level of insanity. So
Yeah, because she finished up the U.S.
Mhm.
part of the Eras tour here in Indianapolis, and
Mhm.
she Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and each night progressively the crowds got bigger, and
Yeah,
every night kept breaking the record for the amount of people at a concert for Lucas Oil Stadium.
yeah.
So
So the places that have like
because
NFL
Lucas Oil
stadium,
holds almost 70,000 people.
yeah. So we do not have anything near
That big.
that
Yeah.
size. We just don't.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a matter of her not liking, but
It's
I
just
know a
that you
lot of
don't have a
people.
venue that's big enough.
Yeah, and that's kind of important.
Yeah.
As you know, as someone who has planned various events of from small to holy crap, how are we going to fit all these people in here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the space that you have is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, and it's not necessarily just crowd capacity. It's also all the infrastructure that goes with it.
yes, that too. And
Parking
and you got to be able to, whatever the
security.
stage setup is, security, hotel space.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it other than just, oh, you don't have a big enough place to have it. So
yeah
so it's
thankfully for us, when the city decided to put in a bid to host the Super Bowl ages ago, because you do that years in advance.
yeah it's like bidding for the Olympics.
Yeah, and we finally and we
again.
won, and we hosted in 2012. And I think 2012. God, that's so long ago.
Right.
Something like that. And that I will give them one thing is they built that their plans included something that would make it very appealing to the Super Bowl committee, but also knowing full and well that we would host other things and built accordingly. Because there are some places that they're like, we're going to host the Olympics and we're going to build this giant building that's only going to be used for this one thing ever.
Right.
And then it's just going to collect dust and fall apart right after we're done.
So interesting exercise. Go and look up I think Athens and Beijing and some of those other places. A lot of other places. The Winter Olympics that were in Russia. Can't remember. Some of those venues they just let them rot. Versus, and I will say this for our Olympic venues, we still use them. Like the Olympic Oval where they had speed skating. It's like they host kids they have classes for speed skating and hockey. It's kind of like a community area because they also have community gathering places. Where the figure skating, that's the Delta Center. That's where the Jazz play. I mean, and holy crap, all the ski venues, duh.
Yeah.
I mean, I
would
don't
say when you think of winter sports, a lot of people's minds go to Utah, and all the fun stuff there. And that, and you guys are hosting another Olympics here.
Yes,
in the nearish future. So
for 2034. And honestly, I know there's been talk, or this idea has been floated, well, let's just have a handful of host cities and we'll just kind of rotate through them. And I'm like, honestly, we're equipped to do it because we built what we did for 2002 and we've used them and kept them up ever since. So I honestly think that's a better way, just kind of looking at the whole what's happened to the cities in post the Olympics and how the economy just tanks and you've got all these buildings and venues that are just not being used and there's no purpose for them. But as I said, even the athletes village that they built at the University of Utah, the first year my sister, just younger than me, she went up there her freshman year. She lived in what it used to be, I think, but they were using them as student housing still. I can't remember if she lived there or she lived near there, but I do know that they were still being used. So it's Anyway, remember we said we have tangents?
Yes. Well, people may not realize, when it comes to big pop culture relevant events, well, why do we always get passed over? And it's well, sometimes you got to have the infrastructure for it. So
it's not a matter of, well, they don't like us. It's well, we really don't have a place to put those things. And places, and there are some cities that are so much older, and there's well, you have nowhere to put such a thing. But I mean, here in Utah, we've got, even Salt Lake Valley, they're still building in areas, and the rest of the state, there's plenty of space. Just got to use it. But you got to do it in a smart way. And I think we, by and large, I think we're pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Which is why we're getting another Olympics. So neener.
Mm-hmm. That's why we haven't hosted an Olympics. Super Bowl is bad. I think right now is about as big as we can go. Although we did host the NBA All-Star weekend earlier this year.
Well, and I think certain cities are suited for certain events. And
we do host trials though, Olympic trials. So we did host the swimming trials. So,
well, there you go. So maybe you can't do it all. But
Lucas Oil Stadium can hold 3 nights of the Eras Tour and double as a swimming center for Olympic trials, all in the same year.
Yeah, it can be done.
Yeah.
Yes. Go Indy.
Well, we have little faith who said it couldn't happen.
I think Lucas Oil Stadium is actually on my bucket list because I'm like, that is a freaking gorgeous.
It is really nice. Yeah.
It's like, dang, they did that one great.
Come down for Gen Con.
Gotta have time and money and
it's way more fun than coming for football.
The Colts. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I am so sorry. Your ownership, they bad. No bueno. Like,
less we talk about the better. So moving
the
on.
Lions are doing great.
Yeah. College football, we're doing fantastic. IU Hoosiers men football, 10-0, baby. What?
Nice.
So, we got a better record than the Kansas City Chiefs at the moment. So
Packers
aren't doing too bad.
Although the Chiefs are also doing really well too, because they're 8-0.
They're 8-0. Although last night it was
touch and go yesterday. Yeah,
it was a close thing with the Chiefs last night. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. The place where I was, the channel they had it on, where they were just bouncing in between whatever games were going on at the moment. It's like for a few minutes I'd see the Colts, and then in a few minutes I would see like the Buccaneers, and then it got to the Chiefs, and Travis Kelce went and they threw the ball and it went right through his fingertips right in the end zone. I'm like, come on, Taylor's boyfriend, do better than that.
Oh man.
Anyway,
back to
Shalane's feedback.
Okay, Shalane, we're coming back to you.
Yes.
Although this next one makes me laugh, and I will tell you why.
Yeah. So most fans end up traveling to see her concerts at places like Arizona, Las Vegas, Miami, Denver, and even London. Yes, I know at least 2 people that went to New Orleans to see her. Those were the shows right before Indy. It says, I'm counting down the days until Wicked and Moana 2. I've been stocking up on merch for both films. Yes, you have, girlfriend. And every time I see more Wicked merch, I'm sending her links. Like, look.
So here's my question though. Did you get a doll with the naughty porn site website instead of the movie website?
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh boy,
because they're recalling those, and those are going to be collector's items. I'm not saying go to that website.
No, by no means are we. Yeah,
but
suggesting you do that.
Yeah, not suggesting that. Although whatever. Don't. It's not any of my business.
Right.
You spend your money on however you want. Your money.
But just make sure you clear your browser history.
Yes, although I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh.
Somebody is so fired.
It's like
you had one job as a proofer.
Yes. Oh shoot. Yeah. That one I just about died laughing.
Oh, or did somebody accidentally let it forgot to pay the bill to make sure that it was supposed to be the correct website? Oops.
Right.
Somebody slipped in and
Now, I mean, honestly, I don't know how many people actually go to the website that's listed on the back of a box. Like when you get a doll or something like that. I don't know. But still, I'm like, that's still pretty bad. And then somebody noticed. So anyway, so make sure, check the box on your merch, Shalane, because you may have a collector's item.
Oh my. Let's see. It says, I was talking about The Sixth Sense. So she says the movies and shows I've seen Bruce Willis in include The Fifth Element. I've seen that. Over the Hedge, Friends, The Kid, Rugrats Go Wild, and Look Who's Talking. The only movies I've seen Haley Joel Osment in are Secondhand Lions, which we've covered on Gold Standard, thanks to Holly. Forrest Gump, also been covered on Gold Standard. Hunchback of Notre Dame 2, The Jungle Book, Country Bears, Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas. Funny enough, I didn't realize he's the brother of Emily Osment from the Disney Channel. Well, folks in Hollywood, if they have the similar or same last name, yeah, you're like, are they related? Well, possibly.
Nepo babies for nothing.
Yeah.
So this is not the same thing, but
yeah, Nepo siblings.
Nepo siblings.
Is that a thing?
Well, I think that's why Macaulay Culkin's brother.
Yes.
Keenan.
Yes, him. I think that's why.
You mean Fuller and
Fuller? Yes. Yes.
Lay off the Pepsi, Fuller. You want the bed.
I forgot to pack the plastic sheets.
Yeah.
Or they're already.
Listen to our review of the Home Alone franchise from a couple Christmases ago.
Oh man, Alex he's found clips of Home Alone on YouTube, and he just is. It cracks me up to hear him laugh.
Yeah.
It's mostly the wet bandits getting pummeled, but over and over again. But
yeah.
Anyway, continue.
That sounds about right. I mean, that's pretty much why all kids, I think, watch Home Alone, is to watch bad guys get the crap beat out of them.
I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So her next bit of feedback, actually, Shalade, you are incorrect. Because we have not done The Kid. I don't know where
I was trying to think. I was like, did we?
I don't know where exactly she got that from. So usually you're pretty good about knowing what we have and haven't done, Shalade. So
maybe she's getting us mixed up with another podcast. That is
maybe because it was like, nope, we've not done that here, and we've not done it on a Gold Standard either. So
because that's a Bruce Willis movie, correct?
Yes, where he gets to have a second childhood. He gets turned into like his 9-year-old self.
His 9-year-old self comes forward in time.
Yes, I know it's like a timey-wimey thing, second chance at life type thing. So
yeah, it is. It's been a while since I watched it, but I have seen it, and I remember it being pretty heartwarming.
Yeah, like I don't tend to watch a lot of Bruce Willis other than Die Hard, and which she mentions. She says, "I know Die Hard is on your Christmas list." Yes, it is every year. My Christmas tradition. Every Christmas Eve, I sit down with a big old plate of food and a bottle of wine, and I do a double feature of Muppet Christmas Carol and Die Hard. So
perfect pairing.
Yep, that is what I do every Christmas
Welcome
Eve.
to the party, pal.
Yep. So for Halloween season, here's a quick recap of the spooky movies you've discussed so far: Hocus Pocus, Ghostbusters, Beetlejuice, even though it was in April. Little Shop of Horrors, The Black Cauldron, The Mummy, also in April. Hey, and Spirited Away. What? No Mazes and Monsters?
Yeah, that one. Well,
it's spooky because it's bad. Not because it's actually spooky. It's spooky because it's bad. Yeah. Good. Poor Tom Hanks.
He's
okay. I think he's done okay. Everybody's got to cut their teeth somewhere. There's that and Bosom Buddies. Take your pick. Speaking of Vegas, it's definitely not the only place for showgirls. Well, yeah. You can also find them in New Orleans, Rio, Paris, New York, and Chicago. Like, yes, that is very true. Just they tend to go hand in hand with Vegas. So
yes, I mean the term Vegas showgirls exists for a reason.
Yes. Yep. No. All right. The only M. Night Shyamalan movie I've seen is The Last Airbender, the live-action adaptation of Nickelodeon's Avatar, The Last Airbender cartoon, which, of course, everyone loves so much more than the movie. Yes.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Years later, Netflix released a live action TV series based on Avatar, and while it's pretty good, I'm still trying to get used to it. Honestly, I think Paramount Plus would have been a better platform for the series since Paramount owns Nickelodeon.
What
Maybe.
I've heard about the Netflix thing, it's like it's fine, but you've got the original right there, so you might as and it's actually, you know, I don't know. One of these days we may have to talk about Avatar at some
Yeah.
point because it is so good, and it's like one of those things that they are trying so hard to duplicate its success, and I'm like, I don't think you can. It
Yeah.
was just right time, right place, right people, and that doesn't exist anymore. So
Yeah.
just
I think the other
Mhm.
non-Disney companies are saying Disney have sort of success with doing live action adaptations of their cartoons.
uh,
So they're like, anime, that's what we can do live action. So let's do Avatar. Let's do One Piece. Let's do, it's like
well, they did Cowboy Bebop, and that was
they, which I scrubbed through only for the corgi. Um,
yeah. Although I
so
heard I do know that the One Piece adaptation is highly thought of, so that's good.
yeah,
And there are some live action anime that were actually done in Japan.
yes.
They did live action Rurouni Kenshin several years ago, which I have four of them on disc, only because I didn't ever do the first one on disc, but I have that one on digital. They're excellent,
Hmm.
so I recommend those. But anyway,
Yeah. Since I imagine in general that I think we've talked about this too when we talked about some of the Studio Ghibli that's like been adapted for stage.
mm-hmm.
That anime is probably one of the hardest cartoon styles to do live action because it like defies all sense of like logic when it comes to
Yeah,
like
physics.
physics, body
Mhm.
type,
Yeah.
hair shape,
Yep.
and color. Although really color you can do anything, but hair shape,
Yeah.
hairstyles. So it's like
Yeah. It's. I mean, it can be done. It absolutely can be done if you know what you're doing. And a lot of people, especially, they're just like, oh, hey, this thing is popular. Like they did a live action Dragon Ball movie, which I know
mm-hmm,
is just widely derided, and I can definitely see why.
mm-hmm,
Just because they cannot get like the animation it is just such a core part of those characters, like the way they move and the way they look,
mm-hmm.
and that is just no way that you can say, hey, we're going to cast this actor in this role and we're going to say this guy's Goku, and you're like, no, he's not. And
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing against the actor or any of that stuff. It's just like, no, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but no,
yeah.
because yeah. Anyway, so
I think
there are
the closest they've come with that is Detective Pikachu. So
well, and that one is yeah, the Pokemon were because yeah, the,
that's a little
the
different.
yeah, that's a little
Mhm.
different because the Pokemon were still CG, so it
Yeah,
was like that still worked. They still
yeah,
look they still look right.
yeah. It's just they happen to live in the world with the rest of us. So
Yeah, so that one worked, but it's
kind of like Jurassic Park, you know. Uh,
Mhm.
exactly
yeah. She finishes. Says also Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, feels like a half anime, kind of like the Teen Titans on Cartoon Network. Eh,
Avatar came first.
yeah,
Just
I can see the because the Teen Titans. It's like its animation style is kind of anime, but it's not.
uh-huh.
But DC was all like, oh well, people like anime, so let's
Yeah.
invoke that look, and people will, I don't know, think that DC has gone anime or something. I don't know. Who knows what DC is thinking?
Yeah, I guess when that
Yeah.
less said about that, the better.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Shalane. And then we got some feedback from Aaron. His subject line says, I draw people smiling, dogs running, rainbows. They don't have meetings about rainbows. Hello, my Fiveish hosts, The Sixth Sense has become a modern classic. I remember being flabbergasted at the ending, but what makes the movie so special is that it holds up as a family story upon subsequent viewings, a point that I think we made in our discussion. Coincidentally, my nephew recently watched this for the first time a couple of weeks ago. When Malcolm got shot and then it cut to the next scene, the first thing he did was ask how Malcolm was still alive after being shot in the heart. My sister tried to tell him we don't know where he got shot. Then he thought for a few seconds and says, "Wait, didn't you say this is about a kid who sees ghosts? Is this guy a ghost and doesn't realize it?" My sister and brother-in-law stared at him and then told him to just watch the movie. He ended up calling it an unscary and predictable movie. I laughed.
Aaron, I have to tell you this, and I may have mentioned this before. My husband has writer brain, which means that he can see what the plot twist is before the plot twist even happens. The most I guess egregious example of this is because he didn't read the Hunger Games books, but he went with his mom to see the movie, the first movie when it came out, and she was excited to see it. She'd read it and liked it and all that stuff. So he sits there and is sitting there in the movie, watch it. There's the ending. He's like, well, in the second movie they got to do an all-star game because that's the only other way to go. And my mother-in-law was just like, how did you know that? And he's like, I don't. It's like, did you read the book? No. And he's like, that's exactly what happened. And so yeah, I cannot. We've decided we cannot. There's certain things that we can't really do with Jared, and it's like some movies I'm like, just Jared, be quiet. Watch the movie and don't say anything.
Yeah.
Although in our last,
I hate my brain when it does that sometimes. I'll be watching something and I'm like, I can consciously, I'm like consciously aware of my subconscious trying to figure it out. And I'm like, shut up. Yeah. Just sit back and enjoy it for a while.
Yes. Shut your brain off, enjoy it, and just relax.
Especially the stuff that's actually intended to be like, you're just supposed to figure it out along with the rest of the people. It's like thankfully, like, when I went and saw Murder in the Orient Express, that, I've not read Agatha Christie, so I don't know the source material. So I didn't know how, it ended with who done it. And the same thing with both of the Knives Out movies. Thankfully, I've not figured it out before the end of the movie. So kudos to Agatha Christie and the people writing the Knives Out movies. So, well, thank you, Erin, for your feedback. And I don't know how old your nephew is, but if he's old enough, I would be interested to see if he figures out the twist endings for the stupid twists that we talked about with Shyamalan, where where he couldn't top himself, so the twist he ends up coming up with is just like, really? That's ridiculous. Like The Village. See if your nephew could figure out the twist for The Village, considering how stupid it is. Or The Happening. The Happening's even worse.
Oh my god!
If your nephew can stand Mark Wahlberg for a couple hours.
Now, it wasn't Mark Wahlberg's fault. The was horrid.
It was, but just the two of them together. It's like, it's a crappy premise, and then you got Mark Wahlberg's acting on top of it. It's just like, so, okay, moving on to this week's main topic. Once I realized that I am on crack, and
only like just south of an hour into.
Yeah. Well, me realizing yesterday that I put on the schedule something we'd already done, because apparently I almost 500 episodes. I'm sorry if I can't keep track of everything.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah,
those things
I was like, I'm pretty sure we've already done this, and then I looked. I'm like, yeah, we did. Like back in January. Maybe that's why I didn't remember, because it's been so long.
At least it wasn't like, hey, we're not actually going to be reviewing a really short little Disney movie, but we're actually going to be reviewing Titanic, or something super long.
That's true. That's true. And actually,
it was easy to pivot.
Yeah, this did actually, and this actually worked out very well because the 50th anniversary for this album actually was 3 days ago. So,
Oh, serendipity.
We did it. We did it.
yes. Yeah. So, thankfully this worked out well so Chrissy could be here. Thank you, Federal Holidays.
Yeah.
So that we could go back and cover another Queen album. In this case, Sheer Heart Attack.
Which I will
Not
be
to be
honest,
confused with the song Sheer Heart Attack, which would appear on News of the World several years later.
yes.
Uh,
I think that one was supposed to, or no, it was, well, it was in like the baking process, but they hadn't got it finished in time for
Yeah.
this album. So they just saved it for the next one. But this one, I will admit, is the one that is one that I don't know as much about as the others. But as I was listening to it, I was like, oh, I remember this part because there, because the especially Flick of the Wrist was about how like their record label screwed them over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, that is fertile ground for creativity.
Oh, yes.
For a lot of musicians, so good on them for that.
It's not like they have a few songs that have to do with their record label screwing them over.
Yeah.
It happens a lot more than you think.
We would discuss at least one other of those.
Yeah, and Freddie's
we'll
not one to name
we'll let you
names.
listen. We'll let you listen to the Queen catalog and see if you can figure it out. I would think you probably could just by the title, but I guess it depends on whether you know your Queen history or not too. So.
Yeah.
Well, and depending on which version of the song you listen to, because if you listen to it live, Freddie names names. If you listen to the studio version, I think it's implied but not stated.
Yeah, that's true. See, kids, bad mouthing people in your songs. Don't blame Taylor Swift. People were doing it way before her.
I know. I'm like, this has been a thing forever. So she's just carrying on a grand tradition.
Yep. So Sheer Heart Attack is actually Queen's third studio album after Queen essentially 1 and 2. It was released on the 8th of November 1974 by EMI in the UK and then by Elektra in the US. This is where what we consider the classic Queen sound really got to become really well known and more mainstream. That being said, this album, for being their third studio album, the road was a little rocky, especially if you're Brian May. Getting here. So
it was poor guy.
Because after
I mean, we're talking almost Ringo Starr proportions of stuff.
Yeah, actually, I think almost worse, honestly.
Yeah.
So after completing Queen 2, Queen went on tour with Matt the Hopple, Mott the Hopple, who actually gets name dropped in one of the songs. And they toured the UK, and then they decided to tour the US, which marked Queen's first tour in the US. Queen played their first US show in April 1974 in Denver, Colorado, which apparently Freddie hated. Bill, I guess, sharing billing with another band. But they toured anyway, and they remained friends with the members of Mott the Hopple. But by the time that they reached Boston, Brian May had hepatitis.
Yeah.
And not from like, like doing intravenous drugs or anything. Like, I think they got it because they had to get vaccinations before going to Australia. and they think that his vaccinations were administered with a dirty needle,
Ooh.
a contaminated needle. So it's not like he was doing like
No bueno.
heroin or something. Yeah, it was something completely innocuous. That is kind of a pun there. Innocuous inoculation.
Yeah, saw what you did there.
Yeah. Did not mean that, but hey. Yeah. So yeah, he had to be hospitalized, and they had to cancel the rest of their tour. So in June they gathered together to start rehearsing material for the new album. Brian was able to rejoin them in July. They went to Wales, to Rockfield Studios, where they recorded 10 backing tracks at the end of July. And in August they shifted to Wessex Sound Studios, and at that point Brian started to get ill again, went to a clinic, and he collapsed while at the clinic because of an ulcer.
Dude.
Yeah, which is, if you don't know what an ulcer is, kids, or at least in this case, it's a break in the inner lining of the stomach and the small intestine.
Owie.
Yeah. Well, it's either the stomach, the intestine, or sometimes the lower esophagus. In his case, it was the one in the small intestine. So yeah. So he had to be operated on. But he was eventually discharged, sent home to recuperate. The guys continued to do work on the overdubbing in Wessex. Brian booked time at a studio elsewhere, closer to where he was recuperating, where he recorded Dear Friends and She Makes Me. And then by late August, he was back with the band, and so they could work on everything together. So they ended up working into September on the last song, which is Now I'm Here, and we'll get into why Now I'm Here took so freaking long. Where they recorded the backing track for that at Wessex and then saved the rest to be completed during the mixing sessions. They started mixing middle September. They were still overdubbing at that point, so they hired someone to deliver tapes from the recording studio to the mixing studio via motorcycle. Because they just like, it's like back and forth.
This almost sounds like the premise to Give My Regards to Broad Street movie, except the tapes aren't missing.
Yeah, exactly. The mixing sessions took place at Trident Studios. Most songs took 1 or 2 days to mix. Brighton Rock took 4 days to mix, with 6 hours worth of different mixes created. They had to mix each song in little sections of about 15 to 20 seconds long for Brighton Rock, because it contains a numbered, well, when we talk about the individual tracks. Trident had actually installed a 24 track machine in 1972, but they weren't using it until Queen came along, and they're like, oh, 24 tracks? Sign us up, plug that sucker in.
Gauntlet thrown. Challenge.
Yeah, so this album was actually their first 24 track project.
Wow.
However, that still wasn't enough to mix each track individually.
Man, because some of the tracks overachievers.
Because some of the tracks were so complicated. So because Bring Back That Leroy Brown had 70 vocal tracks.
Holy crap.
So even though they went from an 18 track to 16 track to a 24 track, that still wasn't enough, because in some cases they had 70 tracks just for vocals for one song. So they had to figure out
it, I believe.
Yeah. So they had to figure out how to make it work with a 24 track mixer.
So. Like I said, them boys are overachievers, and sometimes the math.
Yeah.
Don't math, but they made it work.
Yeah.
Good grief, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
So
if there was
just a
ever
lot of
such a
work.
thing as a 100-track machine, oh, trust me, they'd go way over there.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, nowadays it doesn't matter because it's all digital.
Digital, yeah.
So
But
you
no,
can have as many tracks as. I mean, I think in general, it depends on what software you're using
yeah.
and the power of your computer.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, you could have a decent audio editing and mixing software, but if you don't have a machine that can handle processing that much information, it's not going to matter.
I'd hate to be the computer, like, hey, yeah, Queen's coming in.
Yeah.
Blue screen, freeze.
Yeah. Like when it comes to like editing, I mean,
Give.
granted, the podcast is fairly straightforward, but like our podcast is like 2 tracks of audio. So, and it's mono on both tracks. So,
Right, it's not stereo.
yeah, so we're not even have to worry about left and right. It's just a single track per piece of audio. So yeah, but as you listen to this album, you can you can see, you can hear why, because we get our kind of the Queen sound, but there's still we've got a kind of a triple trio of songs that all come together that are very fantasy esque, something that Freddie loved to write and record. But we've also got some heavier. We've got one ballad.
Mm-hmm.
So it very much is what you'd expect from Queen, where you've got just a little bit of kind of almost everything sound wise. This actually is the first album that has a track where all 4 guys are credited as the writers. So this was definitely a step up from their first 2 essentially self-titled albums, which we've covered already. So you go listen to those episodes. So let's get in to the tracks. So starting with Brighton Rock, which is a Brian May penned tune. And
lots of guitar in this one.
Yes.
Yes.
One of their
Brian-
longest guitar solos at more than 3 minutes long.
That's
Because
really most of the song.
Yeah, I forgot this one even had lyrics, because I mean, the other times I've heard Brighton Rock, it's just the live guitar solo, which gets played, and that's it, no lyrics.
Yeah, because Brian will play the solo in concert, but not the entire song. So
don't blame him.
Yeah. Brian wrote this shortly before they completed Queen 2. But they didn't have enough time to record it, so it wasn't included. But the variations, if the solo sounds kind of familiar, because there's a variation of it in Son and Daughter. So, but yeah, it tells the story of 2 young, presumably teenagers, maybe young adults, who meet in Brighton on a public holiday, and they kind of fall for each other, but they're not really supposed to be together because it's Jenny and Jimmy, and Jenny knows that she probably shouldn't hang around Jimmy because if her mother finds out she's been spending her time with a boy, her mom's going to be upset at her, but she still writes to him every day after they are parted. Meanwhile, Jimmy feels the same, but he's afraid that, I guess, he's got a girl back home. And is afraid that she'll find out that he kind of had a summer fling. because Brighton or Brighton Beach is a lot of people refer to it because it's a seaside resort, um, in Sussex, East Sussex, south of London. But yeah, you may hear people either refer to it as Brighton or sometimes Brighton Beach. Even if they're not necessarily referring to the literal beach, just because it's a seaside resort town. So it'd be like going to Myrtle Beach, for
Yep.
us here in the US, or Coney Island or something like that. So um but yeah, one of the song is not, it's a bit complicated, not just because of a lot of the guitar, but it also has some samples in it as well. It samples Carnival Midway, which is a stock sound effect or stock sound from a stock sound effect library series titled Authentic Sound Effects, which was compiled by Jack Holzman, who is the person who signed Queen to Elektra Records in the US. So I guess if you need stock sound effects, go to the
Hopefully you're
person
ready
who
for
signed you,
those.
I guess. But within that sound effect, it contains the song "I Do Like to Be Beside the Seaside," which also ties back a little bit to Seven Seas of Rye.
Yes.
So, and it's listed as among Guitar World's top 100 greatest guitar solos of all time, ranked at number 41. And apparently it had a resurgence back in 2017 thanks to the movie Baby Driver,
Yep.
which is an Edgar Wright movie. So, and if you think if you've not seen Baby Driver but think, hey, whoever heard this before, it's because it was part of the closing ceremony of the 2012 Summer Olympics in London. Yeah, 5 minutes and 11 seconds, and most of that is guitar solo. So
But it's Brian May playing guitar solo.
it is. I mean, it's Brian
Mhm.
doing what Brian does best.
Absolutely, and it's the Red Special, so
Yeah,
you're in for a treat.
yeah. Which the Red Special come up again. And then the next track, which would go on to become Queen's first big international hit, Killer Queen. So for a lot of people, this was where Queen really started to move more into the mainstream. If you have you seen the film Bohemian Rhapsody, or even just know your Queen history, they famously performed this on Top of the Pops, I believe. And um, first, they hated the fact that they were supposed to lip sync. And second, Freddie totally played up the camp, and because this is a song essentially about a hooker, the the sexiness of it, and the folks at Top of the Pops were not happy with how Freddie decided to play with the camera. So he's like, "You're gonna make me lip sync, damn it! I'm gonna camp this up." So
You better get used to it. I know this is still kind of early-ish days for the band, but y'all, this is what we do. This is what they do.
Like you thought Elvis Presley shaking his hips on TV was bad.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. This is Queen standard operating procedure.
Pretty much. And honestly, I kind of love it. I mean, it's just you see Freddie, or you hear his word, his singing, and it's like, well, of course he's going to do that. Why wouldn't he?
Yes. I mean, it's just like with the Water Break Free years on.
I know. It's charming, it's endearing. This is why people love Freddie. It just is. But maybe they weren't quite ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.
Love it, exactly. Nicely done, Chrissy. Nicely done.
Yeah, it is definitely, definitely a very recognizable Queen song, even if I think it's one of those two where people don't necessarily know all the words, but when you get to the chorus, everybody's like, "She's a care queen."
Da, da,
It's
da,
one
da,
of
da.
those that
Yes.
when I was like first getting into, I would hear it on the radio and I'm like, gosh, I really need to figure out these lyrics. And I like buckled down. I'm like, I'm going to learn what this is. And this was, before the days when we had readily accessible internet where we could just look up the lyrics. And
accurate lyric searches too, because sometimes early
Yes.
days they misheard lyrics too.
Yes, very much so. So this one, it's one of my favorites. I mean, I know I said like, oh, I didn't know a ton about this one, but at the same time, I'm like, I really I love Killer Queen. It's a fun one.
Yeah, it's been carried. It's a song about a high class call girl. It's been characterized as Mercury's piano led pan. I don't know how to say that word, to a moe coiffing courtesan, which moe is a French fine wine.
Payan.
Yeah, payan.
I know that. Yeah.
My it's like my French is really bad. So yeah, Freddie is as quoted as saying, "It's about a high class call girl. I'm trying to say that classy people can be whores as well." That's what the song is about. But I prefer people to put their interpretation upon it, to read into it what they like.
That's very much a Freddie thing for just throughout the whole of the career. He's like, yeah, it basically boils down to I wrote what I wrote, but if people want to take what they want from it, he's cool with it.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Yeah. And Brian had they were working on the album obviously while Brian was in and out of hospital. And at one point he'd heard some of this while working in the studio that was close to where he was recuperating. And he's like, I'm too sick. It's like, I'm not going to be able to part of this track. And thankfully he was able to get better well enough. And they actually left a slot in the song for him to have the guitar solo. So that's good. They didn't leave Brian hanging. And then next up is our little trilogy triplet. Story-ish thing, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what there's proper.
It all flows together.
I'm sure there's a proper musical term for this. I just don't know what it is. It's the songs Tenement Funster, Flick of the Wrist, and Lily of the Valley, which those three titles just together do not sound like they should go together. But
No.
if you don't know the titles and just listen to it, yeah, it flows together really well.
Yes, it does.
So at least on the way I'm listening to it on Spotify, there's no like break or anything, which I know when they were
streamless,
when they were first converting it to put on CD, that they couldn't quite get the breaks right. So
I actually own the album on my my iTunes, whatever they're calling it these days, and it is just flows as just one big long thing. So they got it right on that one. So that was good.
Yeah. Which is impressive considering the songs were recorded separately and then mixed together. So but Flick of the Wrist was written by Freddie. Tenement Funster was written by Taylor. Lily of the Valley was written by Freddie. And there's not really a whole lot about Tenement Funster other than Roger wrote it. It's about youth and rebellion.
Pretty much.
It was the 70s.
And they were young guys, and when you're that young and you're just writing about whatever you want to write about, you do it.
Flick of the Wrist, according to Freddie, it's not based on anyone in particular.
Yeah,
sure, Freddie.
As we've already alluded to, that's probably a bunch of bunk.
Yeah. Although they did, I will say, they did run into a lot of just crappy, awful people in the music business.
Yes.
So
True.
while this one, while he may or may not have a single person in mind, it's not
Yeah.
for lack of choice.
Yes.
in their early days. That this is the
Yeah.
but there's a lot of things that
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that's why you did that.
Yeah, because
There's a lot
the
of-
song's about con men and rip-off artists and
Mhm.
people like
Yeah.
that. And he even said our manager would like to think it's about him, but it's not.
Yeah, because basically that one is like,
Not
okay,
completely about him.
we've got all these people, and it all kind of sounds like them. So to paraphrase Carly Simon,
You
if
probably
think
think the song is about
song's
you.
about
Yeah.
you. You're probably right. It probably is.
You know what?
Yeah.
In a way, yes, it probably is. So you know
Yeah.
what? Take your lumps.
Mhm. And be vain, and can take it that way.
Yep. Yeah. So, it's funny though. And then, yeah.
Sorry, I
and
couldn't
then,
help it. It kind of it fits.
no, I
It
mean you're
does.
you're absolutely right. Yeah, like me think doth protest too much. Oh, feel a little guilty there.
If shoe fits, Cinderella,
Yeah.
let's slide her on in.
Mm-hmm. Like what are you trying to say there? And then Lily of the Valley, which again refers back to Seven Seas of Rye.
I
There's a
love
line
that.
in there about
Yes.
messenger from Seven Seas is flown to tell the King of Rye he's lost his throne.
Yes.
And we get the little Seven Seas of Rye nod in there too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it definitely has. It feels very Freddy fantasy, you know, feel to it. Yeah, Brian actually says in an interview in 1999, when referring to Lily Valley specifically, so Freddie's stuff was so heavily cloaked lyrically, but you could find out just from a little insights that a lot of his private thoughts were in there, although a lot of the more meaningful stuff was not very accessible. Lily of the Valley was utterly heartfelt. It's about looking at his girlfriend and realizing that his body needed to be somewhere else. It's a great piece of art, but it's the last song that would ever be a hit. Which I don't think it could have been, at least not by itself, because it's really intended to be the other end of this triple. So
Yeah, so it's I mean it's good on the album, but yeah, like Brian said, he's like, I don't think it could, go on the radio and that
yeah,
kind of thing. But it's still very, very nice. Very lovely.
Yeah. I mean, it would, this is one of those where it's like, it would be kind of nice if some radio stations, if they weren't so concerned about just playing the stuff that, like the one or two songs from every major artist that people, the people know and they don't know anything else of their catalog. If they would play stuff like this every once in a while, all three of them put together is just one long bit, as opposed to every other radio station, they always play "We Will Rock You," right, with "We Are the Champions" right behind it, like it's supposed to,
Yeah.
And occasionally get a radio station that will play just "We Will Rock You" and not "We Are the Champions," and you're kind of feeling like something's missing.
Yeah, like wait,
We got shortchanged.
Yeah.
You forgot something.
Yeah. Like, I mean, as much as I don't want to hear the same songs over and over again, you gotta at least complete the set.
Yes.
It's like playing a song and then stopping it in the middle. Like
Right.
that's not
or it's just like with the Beatles. You've got to have Golden Slumbers, The Wait, The End, all of them together. Just like Mean Mr. Mustard, Polythene Pam came in through the bathroom window. Those need to be together. You can't split them up. Now, I mean, with the exception of Joel Cocker, because he only reported she came in through the bathroom window. Then okay, that one I'll make the exception for. But when you're talking original artists, don't split them up.
So, and then Now I'm Here, which was written by Brian while he was hospitalized. But it's calling back to their time of touring with Mott the Hopple. I mean, there's a line in there, "Down in the city, just Hopple and me," Hoople, whatever, however you pronounce it, Hoople and me. So, and yeah, so that's yeah. So thankfully, while Brian was hospitalized, he wasn't, you know, just staring at the
Under-
ceiling, waiting, hoping the painkillers won't wear off.
right.
He was able to be productive. So, and then this is one of two songs that has a kind of a heavier rock connection. Because at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert in 1992, Brian joined Def Leppard on stage to perform this, and would end up being a B-side to Def Leppard's single, Tonight. And would also end up going on the deluxe edition of their Adrenalize album. Adrenalize? I don't know. That's cool.
Yeah, and Def Leppard also did cover another Queen song towards the tail end, and it was their, I want to say it was like their Yeah album, which was a whole bunch of covers. They covered Dear Friends.
Mm.
I didn't make it on, I mean, it's not on this album, but I just thought, yeah, Def Leppard has covered other Queen stuff.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Then you have In the Lap of the Gods, which is another Mercury penned album or song. And it's
the chorus is catchy.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's got multiple overdubs from himself and Roger Taylor, and has one of the highest notes on the album sung by Roger,
which is surprising.
Oh, Roger
well,
can hit those
Roger can hit.
I
mean, he can.
He needs
Yeah.
to.
He can. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just, 9 times out of 10, it's normally Freddie, and then when you hear it's Roger, it's like, all right.
Yeah. It's like, wait, that's the same voice. That's kind of like how I felt like the first time I ever heard "Dream On" by Aerosmith.
Yeah, like,
and
that's
I
Steven
couldn't,
Tyler?
I couldn't believe that the chorus and the verses were the same person.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's not the same voice.
No, it's yes, it is.
That's
no,
the
it is.
beauty of it.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to be kidding me. People are like, no, that's legit. I'm like, okay, well, you say so.
Yeah. Yeah, younger years still ain't buying, and then when you hear it live, like, okay, yeah, I guess, yeah, right, okay, I admit defeat.
Yeah, not that you can hear it live anymore, unfortunately.
Right,
so.
exactly, yeah.
R.I.P. Stephen's voice.
Yep.
They had a good run.
Yep.
Okay, next up, Stone Cold Crazy, which is the song. It's the first in the Queen catalog to have all 4 band members credited as songwriters.
And probably the first speed metal song.
Yeah, it's very fast tempo, heavily distorted. It's considered a precursor to speed metal. Q Magazine described it as thrash metal before the term was invented. VH1 named it the 38th best hard rock song of all time in 2009. Drum,
a little bit.
which I think is a magazine. Drum with an all caps exclamation point. Describes Taylor's performance as straight up punk rock drumming. So they all share the writing credit for this one. It was not released as a single at the time, but was performed live at almost every Queen concert from 74 to 78. It's in the 92 compilation album, which would have been after Freddie died. And was released as a promo single that same year by Hollywood Records. It has been remixed several times. It was remixed 3 times in 1991. The first two were by Michael Wagener, who is a German record producer. He did different pressings in 1981, the Hollywood Records remaster, and then on the Encino Man soundtrack. And then the third one was done by Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails.
No?
Which, considering the guy now is an Academy Award-winning film composer, sure, why not?
Exactly.
Yeah. So the Wagner remixes, not very similar from the original. Reznor's version mixes Queen with Nine Inch Nails, the like really heavy industrial metal sound.
Right.
And it was intended for a track on this was ended up being canceled, the 1992 Hollywood Records compilation Basic Queen Bootlegs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, I would have bought that album.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if the bootlegs would have been just like remixes or covers. Now
I
we'll
don't
never
know.
Now
Well,
never
because
know.
apparently Reznor's remix includes sound bites from the studio.
Oh, cool.
So I guess it's supposed to make it sound more like a bootleg.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Version that if Chauncey had the door open, he would probably be poking his head in. Metallica covered it in 1990 for an album celebrating Elektra's 40th anniversary, the label's 40th anniversary. It also ended up being a B-side to Enter Sandman, which we've talked about, the Black Album. And that won a Grammy. It also appears on their covered B-sides album Garage Inc., which is all covers. That's where you can also hear their covers of songs like Turn the Page, and stuff like that, songs like that. It's definitely more aggressive than the original. It is Metallica. They've changed out some lyrics so that there's some curse words that we will not repeat on here.
Right. I mean, hey, it's their choice. Yep.
Some of the lines are a bit more on the violent side as opposed to funny. That being said, I guess that Queen and company liked it well enough that they invited James to come and perform it at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert.
Yep.
Which, one of these days we're gonna have to talk about the Freddie Mercury concert.
Yeah,
we have to talk about that. We have to talk about Live Aid at some point as well.
Oh yes. Yeah. Fine. I'm down for it. I'm down for it.
Yeah, because the Freddie Mercury tribute concert was wild because it was like, first of all, big names and quite the variety, but they let a lot of these artists perform some of their own songs and then also perform Queen songs. So like Metallica, this is 92, so this is right after the Black Album. So Metallica is doing things like Enter Sandman.
And you got Gary Sharon from Extreme. Doing a song.
You got Def Leppard, it's U2 and Guns N' Roses. And then they did a bunch of Queen plus whatever artist, and so it was like the closest we ever got to seeing Queen and David Bowie perform under pressure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's without Freddie. Granted, it's with Annie Lennox, which is still pretty good.
Good.
But I was like, it's just one of those things where I know we talked about this when we talked about Hot Space, because as much as that album is a hot mess, Under Pressure is a fabulous song. And I hate the fact that there's like no pictures or like anything. Documenting Queen and David Bowie creating this song.
Which sucks.
other than people's stories who were there. And it's like, oh,
I
that
mean,
kills me.
this is basically the version, or if there were pictures, they probably got destroyed, kind of like some certain Doctor Who episodes. It's just like,
Yeah,
it's
I
not there.
guess. I don't
And
know.
it's like at the time when they're working on it, they're like, "Oh, we're just doing this. This is just whatever."
We're
And-
just goofing around. We don't need
Yeah,
to
we're
do
just goofing around. We're not. It's like whatever. We're having fun, but it's not
Mhm.
anything super important to them in the moment. And then like years later, I mean, I know. I don't know. It's just when you're going through stuff and you're like, "Oh, I wish I would have saved that." This is kind of
Yep.
this is kind of along those lines.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man, guys, history.
yeah.
Don't you know that? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and with the tribute concert, I mean, you've got two other vocal powerhouses paying tribute. You got Roger Daltrey and you
Mhm.
got Robert Plant,
Mhm.
two doing their takes
Yeah.
on crazy little
You've
thing
got-
called Love and I Want It All.
You've got George Michael.
Yep.
You've got Elton
Yep.
John.
Yeah.
Although the less we talk about Axl Rose's contribution to Bohemian Rhapsody, the better.
The better, yes. Amen. I will agree with you. Even my dad, when we watched the concert live when it aired on MTV, my dad was just like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah."
what did you
Yeah.
do? Look what they've done to my boy.
Yeah. There's some days where I'm just like, why does he have to be a Hoosier? Why do we have to claim him?
You don't have to, but
He is.
I mean, I don't personally, but as
Right.
someone born in this state as well.
I know.
It's like Orville Redenbacher, yes. Axl Rose, not so much. So, but yes, Metallica, woo!
Yes, we changed. And the
Yes.
rest of the Freddie Mercury tribute concert rundown, TDD.
Yes. So yeah, it was just Queen and James doing the performance of Stone Cold Crazy. It was not like Queen plus Lars and
Though I would have loved to have
you're
seen
not getting like Brian May
came
and Kirk Hammett like butting heads, for guitar
I
solos.
would have loved that.
So I mean that would have been kind of cool, but yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, no. Yeah, no. And if that's not enough, if you have Guitar Hero Metallica, that is also a song option.
Limber up those fingers.
Yep.
Just saying.
So yeah. And then next up is Dear Friends, which is written by Brian May, sung by Freddie, and apparently covered by Def Leppard.
Yes. I couldn't remember which album was on, so hey, serendipity that I remembered correctly.
And then
it's a slow song, but I mean it's good.
Yeah.
You kind of those
little sentimental.
But yeah, slow it down, chill out for a bit after shredding.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, a little bit of a hard.
Take a breather.
But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then Misfire, which is John Deacon's first individual composition for the band. So yeah.
In it.
Yeah, so he's playing the guitar solo and all the guitar parts except for the end, which is when the Red Special comes back in. So, but yeah, by this being on here, this album has at least one track credited to each band member, and then also a song that has all four of them with the writing credit on it. So that's cool. So I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere. Good job, John. Until the Red Special comes along and it's like, hold my beer.
You listen to the Red Special.
Yeah. And then bring back that Leroy Brown, which yes, that is a nod to Leroy Brown
by Jim Croce.
By Jim Croce, who had died the previous year in a plane crash. So it is definitely very, I mean, this is a Freddie song through and through. I mean, this is just like, it just feels very Freddie. It's very like, it's kind of old timey yet
Yep.
not, and it's kind of
Yeah.
jazzy but not, and it's kind of.
I mean,
got a little
it's
bit
almost
of a-
like you could walk into a saloon and it'd be something that you'd
Yeah,
hear play at a saloon.
Yeah, because it's got grand piano, but it also has jangle piano, which all you gotta do. I mean, when you think about like old timey saloon, the word jangle piano just
Yes.
kind of sounds that just sounds like what you would expect it to sound like when you say jangle piano. There's a ukulele banjo. So, it's just there's honky tonk piano.
And
upright
they were throwing
bass.
everything old time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it is very much which, and if you've never heard the song Bad Boy Leroy Brown, where have you been?
Then you
You obviously
look it
never
up.
listened to any mainstream oldies radio station anywhere, because that's one that gets played a lot.
Yes.
It's a very, very commonly played Jim Croce single. So,
the point you at least should know the chorus.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, maybe some people maybe confuse it with Jim, which is another Croce song about guys you don't mess with.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
They're all in there.
Yep. But yeah. Unfortunately, Jim Croce died in 73. In a plane crash. So, but I like that there's a nice nod to.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Nice to that. So, and then she makes me Stormtrooper in stilettos, which I mean, the title.
Yeah.
It's written by it's a Brian May penned and sung song. I mean, if you just told me the title of the song, like the description of what I think the song is, I don't think would even come close to what this song actually is. Because to me, like the title and the song do not match.
No.
Like, if maybe the title was just "She Makes Me,"
yeah,
then maybe. But you throw in the Stormtrooper in stilettos,
right?
And you're kind of like
Star Wars, but then it's just like, wait a minute, this is X number of years before Star Wars even comes out,
right? Yeah. So at this point, the word Stormtrooper, people knew it from World War II.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the term from
the Schmazzi's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, that's what some of their people were called.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's where George Lucas. Well, okay, because the term has been around as like it's like a term for certain types of military.
Yeah.
Trooper, soldier, whatever, that kind of. So it didn't.
They go in and take over, so they storm.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's not like Star Wars does not have the market cornered on that term, although in pop culture they kind of do.
Yeah.
Now, but back then,
unfortunately, because of World War II, it kind of got into the nomenclature in the vocab. Yeah, and then George Lucas took it and ran with it, and now we equate it with people that can't shoot fish in a barrel.
Yeah. So. And the distinctive armor and the blasters and the whole thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but yeah, that's not what I would equate with the subtitle at all. It's like every time it comes on, I'm like, oh, yeah, listen to Brian sing. It's like, oh. And then I remember what the song title is, and I'm like, okay. Because it's like, it's got some acoustic guitar in there, which you're not going to equate acoustic guitar with Stormtrooper.
No.
of
Not
any
really.
kind. So
And you're not going to think, smooth, gentle. No, it's going to be
no,
more rough,
yeah,
duck, covered.
yeah,
You
Get out
only
of the
have
way.
minutes to
Move
live.
it.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's, just, it's not let me take you out for wine and dinner.
Uh-huh.
Let's take things
Exactly.
slow.
Exactly. So, oh my.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, this is also the same guy that wrote a song about being in love with his car. So,
Wait a minute,
What?
that was Roger.
oh yeah, that was Roger. Okay, well,
Maybe Roger.
It comes from the same band as a guy who wrote about how he's in love with his car. How about that?
Fair enough.
There we go. Or who knows? Maybe Roger didn't want to put his name to it, so maybe Brian took one for the team and like, okay, I'll say I wrote it.
I don't know about that, but
Who knows?
or maybe spitballing. Maybe there was a bet.
yeah.
Brian lost the bet, and Rogers was like, "Here's your challenge. Write it."
Baby,
Here's a bunch of random words. Make it
Yep.
work. Oh,
I don't know.
man.
baby. Meanwhile, Roger's over across the room in a chair, like, whoo! I already got mine on the album. I got one. I'm good. Oh my. And then to circle the back around, kind of, we are back in the lap of gods, revisited.
Yep. Which I'm gonna say I like Revisited better than the earlier one, but that's a me thing.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
the Revisited has more of the catchy chorus, if I remember correctly, right?
yeah, it does. It does. In fact,
Yeah.
I have one of the live albums, and I can't remember which one I have, but I've listened to it quite a bit, and it's like one of the it's what they kind of close it out on that, and it just the way it sounds when it's live, and then they've got like the audience kind of humming, singing it back to him, and I'm just kind of like, dang, this would have been so cool to see in the moment in that setting, and it's just like, oh, it was so good. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why I like it so much, because when I listen to that live album, it's so good. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And just so
yeah. It was used as a set closer from 74 to 77. And then during the Magic Tour at 86, it was part of a medley where it segued into Seven Seas Awry.
that
Which
works.
makes sense.
Absolutely.
So yeah, for being Queen's third album, it was generally well received. It's got pretty positive ratings all over the place. Let's see, as far as charting and stuff like that, it never peaked any higher than second, and that was on the UK albums chart from 74 to 76. That's a weekly chart. So when it got reissued in 2011, charted at 83 for the Scottish album list. It is certified platinum in Canada and Poland and the UK, and then gold in Japan, the Netherlands, Sweden, and the US. Not bad. Yeah. So yeah, the original release, 13 tracks total, runs almost 40 minutes. The Hollywood Records reissue in 91 has the Stone Cold Crazy remix on it, so that bumps it up to slightly over 40 minutes. The 2011 reissue, there's a bonus EP with Now I'm Here, Live at the Hammersmith, Look at the Wrist, which is a BBC session, Tenement Funster, it's a BBC session, Bring Back That Leroy Brown, an acapella mix, and In Lap of the Gods Revisited live at Wembley Stadium. And then the iTunes Deluxe Edition has videos, including Now I'm Here live at the Forum in Montreal, Stone Cold Crazy at the Rainbow in '74, and their second performance of Top of the Pops for Killer Queen. Top of the Pops version 2. So yeah, that is Sheer Heart Attack.
So yeah, if you haven't listened to it either ever or in a while, go pop it in. It's a good one.
Yeah.
And
I forgot how many good songs are actually on here until I said, like, oh yeah, that's on that one. That was on that one. Okay, cool.
That's it. That's here. It's all good.
And Rachel, I'm loving this. I mean, we can add the rest of the library spread out down the line. You aren't going to get any complaints from this girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. I mean, we still got lots of Queen to cover. We still have the rest of the Beatles catalog.
Yeah. So that one too. Yeah. So
go finish going through as well. I mean, at some point we probably will need to touch on solo stuff. I mean, we covered all 4 of the Beatles' solo careers or lives and their solo careers, so we should probably touch on the guys from Queen. Some of their solo
Brian's got some good solo stuff. Roger's got some good solo stuff. Freddie's got some solo stuff. The only one who didn't do any solo was Deaky, was John.
Yeah.
He was more into like producing and more behind the scenes type of stuff.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yep. That's all good. We love Deaky.
Yes, we do.
We love them all.
Yes.
In their own way.
All right. Well, if anything else we want to talk about, or we good?
I think we good.
I think we good.
Well, if any of our listeners want to chime in with their favorite song off this album or any other Queen related goodness that we'll cycle back to it, I'm sure. Please leave us some feedback at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, which is thefiveishfangirls.com. Yes. Oh my gosh, I've been out of practice, can't you tell? But yes, you can leave us feedback through our email or on our website, which has all our show notes, also links to our social media, and links to our YouTube channel, where you can see or listen to episodes of the podcast. You can also listen to the podcast, basically wherever podcasts are, we're there too. And then we also have a merch shop and a Patreon if you want to help support the podcast and help us keep going with what we do. And we thank you, of course, as always, for your support. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for just enjoying the ride as we go along. And hope everyone is out there doing well, taking care, and doing what you do. And like we said earlier, Rachel posted some convention goodies up on the YouTube channel, so go check that out if when you get a moment. As a reminder.
Yep. Cool. Hopefully everybody is doing well, especially those that had to change their clocks recently. Oh my.
As a mother of an autistic child, let's not do this.
Yeah.
Seriously. Please.
Or pets. I'm sure Holly can attest to that as well.
Oh yeah.
Who has to thrive on a routine?
They don't like it.
Yeah.
And it really serves no purpose.
No.
Yep.
Though the doggies didn't complain too much because they got an extra hour of snooze time, but still, yeah, you were a little late with the walkies. I'm just like, there was a time change. And snorts. I was like, hey, I didn't make the rule. Another snort. Okay, do I need to find a TARDIS and take you back and have you ankle bite them? Okay.
Seriously. Like, and we will do it. Don't, I won't.
Don't think
Oh,
we
yeah.
won't.
Yep.
All right. Well, now I think we're getting a little loopy. So
Yeah.
We are. We are.
I think
You're
for
welcome.
now we are going to sign off for this week.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Get some sleep, everybody. We all need it. You know you need it. I need it. You need it. We all need it.
We do.
Otherwise, you might go stone cold crazy.
Night.
Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, theFiveishFangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FiveishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.